We are learning more about how the city of Buffalo is spending millions in settlement funding meant to combat the opioid crisis in our region. It turns out most of the money is just sitting there, and what has been used isn't necessarily helping to save lives. Investigative Post reporting that the city has spent less than a third of the nearly $6 million that it's received over the past 3 years. More than $500,000 has been spent on vehicles and equipment for police and fire, another $500,000 going to an overdose prevention nonprofit that has not launched its promised program. Thousands more went to buy lawnmowers that the city claimed would help spruce up neighborhoods to deter crime that may come from opioid addiction. Adam Smith-Perez reported this story for Investigative Post, and he's here with us live tonight. I mean, you read sort of even just like the summary of this, and you're like, what is going on? I know there is some nuance to how the money has been spent, some of it tangentially connected to opioid abuse, but for the most part, it didn't really go to that, right?
That's correct. Yeah, so overall, since 2023, we have almost $6 million coming into the city of Buffalo coffers, and that money is really designated for opioid treatment, addiction services, and prevention. And only $1.75 million of that money has been spent. So that's less than a third of the money.
And with what it has been spent on, and people are going to see lawnmowers, and I know the explanation for that was that it's sprucing up neighborhoods that may be dealing with crime that's related to opioid abuse, but it's still sort of a stretch. What are people who work in this space who say, you know, hey, I run a nonprofit who could really benefit from some of this money? How are they reacting to this reporting?
You know, they have said to me that this is shameful. It's a huge disappointment, and often it's these very small community-based organizations that have the least resources, and they also happen to be the organizations that are most intimately connected to what's going on the ground. So, you know, they're providing food, clothing, Narcan, access to treatment. So when these organizations don't have the resources, they really can't save lives.
I know that you tried to get reaction to this from the mayor's office, from other folks who are connected with the decision making here. What response did you get, and what do we think is going to happen with the remaining $4 million plus?
Yeah, so I got a response from the Division of Urban Affairs, which has overseen the money since 2023, and they said, look, we are the city of Buffalo, we clean streets, we pick up trash, and in one sense, I give them a little bit of leeway because the city does not have a social services department, a health department. That is the county's purview. But over 3 years, you'd think that they'd have developed a stronger strategy. You know, there are cities like Boston, Baltimore, Erie County, counties across the country have opioid settlement advisory board task forces. And the city of Buffalo just has not gotten its act together over the past couple of years to devise a strategy.
Do we get any sense, finally, moving forward, that they will be spending the rest of this money? And if so, maybe now with some sunlight on this, that maybe some of it will go to grants to those groups? Are they at least hoping for that?
They're absolutely hoping for that. I mean, I think that there's hope with the incoming administration that there may be a changing of the guards. There may be more accountability, as you said, more attention drawn to this. I've certainly heard from a number of people across the state who work in addiction services who actually are part of the Opioid Settlement Advisory Board, which I mentioned in the piece, thinking, okay, well, maybe this will actually turn the page and lead to some actual needed change and accountability in this space. But it seems to be not just a Buffalo problem, but a statewide and nationwide problem, unfortunately. Yeah,
I know you had part 2 to the article, which looks bigger picture at the state. I encourage everybody to go to investigativepost.org and read this. Really eye-opening, Adam. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.